Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and massive news today in the world of rugby as Aphiwe Dynatiy has been handed a 4-year ban following this doping charge as a result of a negative sample last year in about August. And it is a huge blow for everyone, absolutely everyone, for the Lions, for the Springboks, for the world of rugby, for South African rugby, for himself. It's just a player who had rewritten all the rules of how to make it to the top. The World Breakthrough Player of the Year 2018, somebody who didn't go through provincial ranks, who got his chance at varsity level, and suddenly next thing you know was playing varsity cup, to playing the Lions, to playing Super Rugby, to playing the Springboks, to becoming the World Breakthrough Player of the Year, has been now banned for 4 years following a doping charge. And it's heartbreaking, it really is. Not necessarily for the player himself, because and we still need to see the entire verdict, exactly why, because at the end of the day, there's no doubt that there was an illegal substance in his body. How it got there, and the details will start emerging, but obviously the SA Institute for Drug-Free Sport has decided that his negligence wasn't enough, and that he is guilty of doping and has handed a 4-year sentence as a result. But the reason it's so heartbreaking is that it's just a story that is so significant. You've seen the Nakazolo Mapimpi story, we've seen the Siya Kolisi story. Aphiwe Dynatiy was one of those stories where he didn't, not necessarily came from the worst of backgrounds, but he just didn't really get the chances. He was always told he was too small. He was playing 13 rugby at school, and so as I said, he had rewritten the rules on how to get to the top. And now, after all that, somebody who was so loved, who was so admired, such a good role model, will now not be able to play rugby until his 29th birthday, basically, in 2023 on the 12th of August, 4 years after his first sample tested negative. Apparently, he was sent a letter on Friday informing him of the statement, which is going to be released tomorrow on Monday. So we're not going to go too much into the details about it until we have the statement tomorrow and we can review exactly what's going on. But he has been handed a 4-year ban, and his agents come out and said that the camp themselves are shocked at the decision, and they said they were so confident that it was going to be dismissed that they were pretty much training to start getting back to rugby, that Dyantyi was getting ready to go back to the field. A quote here says, he says, "The decision makes no sense. I still have to read the full decision. My legal team and I plan on analyzing the decision next week, and we will decide whether to appeal," which is very important. "I can't give any details since the case has not yet been finalized. If it were up to me, we would definitely appeal. The problem is that there are costs associated with it. Aphiwe has not received a salary for the last 18 months, and we're trying to see what we can do. I believe the decision is wrong. Aphiwe can't believe it. We were starting to get back ready to play again." So, and then there's another report that said that one of the defense is that he had only consumed the banned substance on the 30th of June 2019, 2 days before his urine sample was taken, when he drank from a friend's bottle. That is according to the newspaper report. So it's not great. It's not good reading, because if that is the case, it's not the best alibi. When you're in a professional environment, when you're a professional like that, you are told week in, week out, you cannot dope. You cannot even take chances. You can't do things. You can't put stuff into your body unless you know exactly what it is. You can't afford to make a mistake, like take a sip from a friend's bottle. Why take the chance? We know that supplements and all that is such an unregulated market. There are so many dangers. There are so many doping charges and cases we've had over the past. You cannot afford to make these types of mistakes. You know, because this is how it can, and we don't know the full story. That was one of the defense. We don't know what exactly, so more details will hopefully emerge. But if that is the case, it's, you know, and that's the problem, is that when you want to try and prove that it wasn't, that without doubt you took every step to prevent it, that is not taking every step, unfortunately. And that's the problem with modern athletes, is that the testing is so good, you cannot get away with it, you know, and you can't afford to do things that could ever sort of jeopardize that situation. Unfortunately, it sounds like that's exactly what happened. And if that is the case, you know, you can sit there and say he had no intention to dope, but did he take every step of every precaution not to ensure that he would be clean? And the answer is no, if that is the case. And that is the problem. And that's why, look, the word doping, you know, it's not like he was sitting there necessarily taking anabolic steroids, building himself up, trying to get an edge, you know, which is a lot of people's argument. But, you know, in such a regulated market, you've got to take these precautions. You know, we've seen instances in the past of, you know, partners, diet pills being taken and stuff like that, which sometimes been dismissed, sometimes it hasn't. But what is so apparent is that there needs to be more steps taken that you can't afford. You can't just say, I didn't know anymore. You can't just say it was a mistake. That's not good enough. The argument is not whether you intended to do it. The argument is, did you make sure that there was no chance of you doing it? It's one thing if he received a supplement that was supposedly from a specific brand that they had cleared and been tested or whatever, and it was a bad batch, for example, like that. Even then, it gets difficult. But this is the problem. This is why they keep saying the problem with the market is that's unregulated. So I don't think there is much of a defense. Look, they're going to try appeal from this. Well, if there's money, they're going to try and appeal, which, depending on what we hear, I would quite like to see the appeal. Because at the end of the day, we just want to see him play again. We forget how good he was. You look at that 2018 season; he was incredible. Last year's World Cup was supposed to be his World Cup. It was Makazole Mpimpi's basically now, and he deserved it. 100% he deserved that. But it was set to be Aphiwe Dynati's World Cup. You look at the World Breakthrough Player of the Year, and you thought, here we go. This is somebody who's going to make a big difference. I think he would have made a big difference. You won't know whether he would have done what Mpimpi had done or not. But you looked at his performances. He had pace, he had power, he had a skill set. He had a step from. He was a bit like Cheslin Colby. That step inside to this day is still one of the best tries we've seen in the last few years. So it's so disappointing that a player of so much ability let himself down and let a lot of fans down by not taking enough precautions to maybe avoid the sentence. So it's very disappointing. It's heartbreaking for rugby fans. But at the end of the day, and I really do sympathize with them if this is the case. But that's the environment, and you've got to understand what the environment is. You've got to understand what the rules are. You've got to understand how to act. And this needs to be a massive lesson. And unfortunately, if he's the one that has to serve it, then that's how the cookie crumbles. But this needs to be a massive lesson to athletes across the country, across the world, and to unions, that they've got to take more precautions, and every single step needs to be taken so that these situations like this can't happen. We might have missed out on a phenomenal career. He didn't start his career particularly early. He was late to the party, and now he might only return to rugby at 29 years old, which means he could still have 3-4 years. But unless the appeal is successful, Dyantyi is going to be remembered as the career that could have been, which is very unfortunate for someone who should have been one of the Boks' biggest stars. So it's very disappointing on all aspects, and we're going to have to wait and see what more details about it. We're going to have to find out whether he's going to appeal. But that is the current situation. As of right now, he is banned from playing rugby until the 12th of August 2023, which is a couple months before the World Cup, but that's not going to happen. So he's going to miss out on at least 2 World Cups, a British and Irish Lions series, about 4 championships now, lots of Super Rugby campaign. So it gets very difficult, and now it's going to be a situation where he's going to have to try and stay fit for the next few years, stay ready and stuff like that. But can he make the comeback? Does he have the ability to be able, at 29 years old, does he have the mental capacity to be able to bounce back and say, right, I'm going to do my time, I'm going to use this time productively. When I'm back on that field on the first weekend of August, I'm going to show them exactly the type of player I am. Because we all have a redemption story. So if this is the case, he's going to have to try and win everybody back and say, listen, I made a mistake. I didn't try and dope. This was what happened. It was a mistake. I'll take it. I'll accept the punishment. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to prove everybody, not prove them wrong, I'm going to prove them that I deserve a second chance. So it's a big few years ahead of it. And I'm just gutted that we're going to miss out on what a fantastic career is. But you can't really argue the verdict, unfortunately. But we will have more details over the week as the entire sort of saga eventually unfolds. It's taken 18 months to get to this point, which has been ludicrous and been a farce as far as I'm concerned. The process has not been good. And that's also something that needs to be reviewed and improved a lot, because we cannot have an 18-month. Imagine you got cleared. And you do start to wonder, if this process had been done in 2 months, for example, maybe they would have let him go. But after 18 months, for them to then say, no, actually you're fine, reflects really, really badly on the SA Institute for Drug-Free Sport. Because suddenly he's lost 18 months of his career and turns out he wasn't guilty. So the process needs to improve a lot as well. So a lot of lessons that can be learned from the situation, but we will have more details as it unfolds this week. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I will chat to you very, very soon.